everyone. This is update for November 2022, day 270 of the war and of the date update. So first of all, organizational questions. Uh, so I apologize to everyone for not providing information past 2 days in a timely fashion. I remain committed to doing so in the future. However, the situations where I may not be able to do it for a day or for two will happen. So I cannot guarantee, 100%, everyday coverage. So I appreciate your understanding of the situation. Second topic is promised sort of housing prices potential drops. I will do that tomorrow. Unfortunately, I did not have enough time to do it today for tonight, for I guess whatever it is, time of the day, morning, night, evening, or day. So I'll do that tomorrow. As a heads up, I've seen some of the headlines, including from I think Dallas Fed, saying that there could be a drop of I think 15% or something, or 20. So I would say that is not correct. It will be much bigger. Really depends on the level of interest rates, but at the current interest rates, it's probably more like 35% drop. But I'll provide you more detailed information, so in the future you'll be able to do it by yourself without other people telling you what to do and so on. Now let's actually switch to general situation, strategic topics. We'll start with China, since it's sort of important sort of country, and developments there are threatened to really start World War III in a true sort of hot way. I would say what's going on in Ukraine is definitely some form or fashion of World War III, but I would say in a cold way. But that one can really escalate into real hot way. So first of all, President of Philippines is going to visit China in January 2023. So this is again probably an overall negative development for the call it Western Alliance, because Philippines is kind of like a bridgehead that was sort of supporting U.S. Presence in the Pacific, or I would say close to Asia. So it looks like the situation there is not terribly firm, and potentially the Philippines may be looking to be sort of neutral in this potential future conflict. Then another announcement of similar fashion is that New Zealand Prime Minister is going to visit China. It's unclear when, but announcement that it's going to happen. They just need to agree on the dates. So so again, that's net negative. Not that New Zealand is huge in terms of its resources, but I'd say it's more sort of psychological, showing that there is no like true, I'd say, unity and true understanding of the situation, and it's more of everybody for itself or for themselves in the upcoming situation. So on that topic, then this time Dutch Minister of Foreign Trade said that Netherlands will not blindly basically follow U.S. Export ban on high tech to China. And here, what is really important, and that's actually really important, because Netherlands holds the key to manufacturing of the most advanced modern chips. There is a company called ASML that's headquartered, and most of the facilities are based in Netherlands. And they essentially monopoly. So they monopoly and second, they produce the most advanced equipment to manufacture, as I said, the most advanced chips, which usually about 7 nanometers, 6 nanometers, and 5 nanometers. So this is what, well, they do also sort of uh, equipment for sort of less advanced chips, which is like would be like in 20s, even like more than 100 nanometers. But you for military, for all those applications, the more advanced you are, uh, the more advantage you have. So the higher chances you have of winning. At the same time, there's probably also some kind of like a golden middle where you actually the cost of the chip is not that prohibitively high, but the productivity is still very high. So I'm not totally convinced that you know you know 7 nanometers is really the only solution to achieve a technological advance, because maybe with whatever it is, 25, 24, you can get the same if by actually optimizing other important parts in your weapons. At the same time, everybody's looking very like sort of blindly. Okay, whatever, 5, 6, 7 nanometers. Okay, that's sort of you got the solution basically. Um, so what they do, this company is making basically equipment that using ultraviolet, uh, basically light or laser, to burn basically kind of like a grooves in those silicon wafers in a simple way. So basically, you in sort of old-fashioned way, it's called lithography. That's how they started, and that's what they really and that's what L stands in the name of ASML. So this is again remains to be seen. I don't think Netherlands will really sort of allow ASML to export the most advanced, but this sort of announcement is clear sign that again there is no total unity, and obviously there is a sort of another problem is that for ASML they may lose a lot of revenue, and there is no sort of, or maybe there is no compensation valve for that. So so that's the situation with the high tech and transfer of technology to China. Then another point about China, there is statistical information was released that shows that the Chinese export to the U.S. fell by 12.6% in October, and prior to that, in September it fell by 11.6. So you see, there's most important, there's acceleration in the drop of the export. However, more important sort of kind of analysis of the situation is what I mentioned before, like separation or decoupling of the world economy into more like not totally separate islands, but in sort of, yeah, kind of like, you could probably the best way separated, or islands, or separate alliances is really uh, gaining steam, gaining momentum. And what this also means for that, for those who are expecting reduction in the inflation, they probably will be severely disappointed, because dropping Chinese export to the US really means that you have then in the US high cost manufacturers who will obviously replace Chinese manufacturers who are gone at this point. And that really means the continued pressure in terms of inflation. And that what that really means is, again, that Federal Reserve is not going to go back to low interest rates anytime soon. They just, not because they don't want to, because probably political pressure on them is getting bigger and bigger, was every day to actually stop increasing rates and potentially even decrease rates. However, as I said, they are not masters of themselves. They are in desperate situation, and so they will have to a increase them and then keep them at high. Well, it's not even high level. It's actually closer to the normal. It's actually pretty impressive that people saying that this is high, which is this is normal. Well, I wouldn't say normal because it's not a market. It's basically like economic politburo, sort of like or in the Soviet Union used to be central planning authority. So it essentially is sort of similar idea, by the way, to the Soviet Union, except it done it's a much better way because it's not direct sort of orders what to do, but it's being planned through use of interest rates, which you achieve total control over the economy, over the direction of the economy, and you're not using this direct orders, which are extremely inefficient, and this is extremely efficient way of controlling the economy. So again, nobody will sort of like lose that extreme control over the economy. If needed, the interest rates will be high and will lead to a lot of pain and all that stuff. But as I said, these interest rates are not sort of high; they really closer to the norm, and could be even sort of under the norm. Well, I would argue that they are actually lower than where they should be given the whole situation. Then actually, let's switch a little bit to Russia, and then we'll do a little bit of Ukraine. So there was an interesting piece of, just a piece of information that 25% of Russian passenger airplanes are idled and basically being cannibalized. This is actually an example where sanctions really do work because there is no transfer of high tech spare parts, and that really leads to the problem in the Russian passenger air fleet. Uh, then there is another news out of Russia, actually video that shows literally the the unit, some whatever unit it is, of Russian army, and two soldiers who refused to go to fight were basically called out of that unit in front of everyone, in front of an entire unit that was sort of assembled, and they were taken to the prison right there. So again, this is that really means that there are a lot of problems the problems are growing, and they becoming very serious because this is first is it's a tool to scare the rest into submission, because it's done totally in public to humiliate first all those soldiers and essentially make everybody else scared about their life, and so they more scared about that and they go into the battlefield. So that's first one. The second part about this is there are severe problems that we don't see yet in Russian army, where a lot of people simply don't want to go and fight. And then the third, more important sort of conclusion out of all of this is that Russia is firmly on the path to its 1917 moment, and it's advanced quite far on that path. Let's put it this way: it's not terribly far away. So that's really importance of that moment. Then now let's actually switch to Ukraine. So there's a basically private company that's essentially monopoly on the distribution of electricity. Has monopoly. It's uh, totally illegal how it was achieved. There is oligarch in Ukraine that owns it. His name is Renat Akhmetov, and the company is Detec. So essentially, he bribed politicians, and over time, he created monopoly on the energy market. Not total monopoly, but it's he effectively controls, I don't remember, like 70 to 80% of the electricity distribution. And so that company actually also came to, made a public statement saying that one more attack like what happened to Ukraine, and the entire network will basically collapse. As I said, it will just simply disintegrate into islands with a sea of darkness between those islands. And then Russia probably will continue hitting the most important islands to completely, unpower those. So again, the situation is on the edge. Uh, you know, there's blackouts, quite long ones, and also there's another interesting moment is that there were sort of protests in Odessa here, and also the much smaller ones in Chernihiv, where people wouldn't have electricity for 2 3 days, and they would go to the streets, protesting and demanding authorities to fix the situation. So this is also partially tells us that Russia's attempt to put the pressure on Ukrainian top to enter in sort of, I would say, negotiations that are essentially meaning, losing territories and all that stuff. They gaining some traction. I wouldn't say it's really, changed the situation, but basically I would say that Russian side achieved some limited success, because it's not sort of large, massive protests. It's just relatively, I would say not relatively, but definitely contained protests. And however, the big actually problem is not so much Russian side, is really a Ukrainian authority and Ukrainian leadership that's not really capable to solve the problems. And not only that, they themselves not capable, and they prevent people from saving themselves essentially. And that's where really the problem is in all of this. And I think as time passes, it will become more and more evident and clear that current Ukrainian leadership is literally a threat to Ukraine's survival, and it will become more clear again that it's doing more damage to Ukraine than anyone, and including more than Russia. So again, so the situation is really on the edge. Where it's going to go will remains to be seen. With the temperatures are going down below zero now in Ukraine, for we'll see how what will happen, and also really depends on the um, Russian resolve to put sort of final nail in the coffin of Ukrainian electricity distribution system. Now let's actually switch to the walk through the front line. We're gonna do it in a clockwise fashion, as always, and we're gonna start from the very north. Situation along the state border are relatively quiet, nothing really major going on there. Now let's move to North Luhansk front line. Things here almost, I would say, the same. This futile Ukrainian attacks here towards Kuzemivka, and then from here to Nevsky to this, basically to get to the river and basically split Russian defenses into two pieces at least. Both attacks are futile and didn't go anywhere. Now let's look at North Donbass situation. Things here are again the same, in a way that, like, I would say I would be broken record. You can open any day, and Wagner mercenaries actively attacking, as you can see, including Bakhmut, Soledar, all of these areas, without really much success there. However, I would say this that losses on Ukrainian side are high here in defending, Bakhmut, Soledar, all of this, all of this area that, uh, you know, losses are among Wagner mercenaries also high. So basically, area where both sides are sort of seeing heavy attrition, heavy losses on both sides. In a way, it sort of reminds this World War I scenario where it's extremely positional. At the same time, it leads to very high losses on both sides. So you can see this is situation again. So this is kind of like more southern section. So all typical areas. Russian troops are trying to continue moving westward to basically outflank Bakhmut and force withdrawal of Ukrainian troops from there. Now let's move to central Donbass front line. Actually, it was quiet on the 20th. There were some typical actions out of Pisky and this another salient north of Avdiivka, but no changes in the front line here. The same as up north there in including Novoluhansk. Since their last video, it was 17th. Essentially, not essentially, but no changes in the front line. Now let's quickly finish with Zaporizhya front line. Things here are also quiet. Russian side is reporting that Ukrainian command is bringing troops to this area. What units? I mean, obviously units probably from the former Kherson bridgehead. Which units is unclear. Could be that this information is incorrect, but I would say there is probably some truth to it, giving this as the most lucrative opportunity for the Ukrainian side to achieve very, very decisive victory here. So I wouldn't be surprised that there will be at least some attempt to launch some offensive down south to basically split Russian troops into two parts. Remains to be seen if that's going to happen. At the same time, with every passing day, Ukrainian side is losing opportunity for that because mentioned before is that more and more Russian sort of this mobilized soldiers are coming to the front line, which makes Russian defenses much more stable and much more stronger. Also, that Crimean bridge that was severely damaged, it's being repaired as we speak, and Russian side claiming that they're gonna have the sort of road or wheel portion of the bridge ready, I think between December 5th and December 20th. So it remains to be seen if that's realistic or true. But once that bridge is operating, at least for the wheel transportation means, that really means that even cutting Russian troops here will not really sort of create it will create problems, but it will not be sort of death blow because there's still that Crimean bridge, and I'm pretty sure that now defenses of that bridge are much better. Not saying that they're perfect, but much better. So inflict the similar damage will be extremely high. Will be extremely hard. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching, and until tomorrow. Bye bye.